Hello, welcome to our program. You're watching One TV News Bulletin in English at 5. I'm Yanni Moutsios. Here are today's top stories. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan says he no longer recognizes the leader of neighboring Greece, Mitsotakis, and will refuse to meet him at a planned summit. Hundreds of migrants attempted to illegally cross the Aegean Sea on board Turkish vessels amid Turkish President's inflammatory comments about Greece and its Prime Minister. The European Union says embargo on Russian oil may not be too far away, maybe even just a few days, according to its biggest member, Germany. Monkeypox can be contained in countries outside of Africa, where the virus is not usually detected, the World Health Organization says. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has said he no longer recognizes the leader of neighboring Greece and will refuse to meet him at a planned summit. Mr. Erdogan accused Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis of seeking to block the sale of American-made F-16 fighter jets to Turkey while visiting the United States. There is no longer anyone called Mitsotakis in my book, Mr. Erdogan told reporters after a cabinet meeting. Greece said it would not get into a confrontation of statements. The row comes amid Turkey's threats to block a proposed expansion of NATO. Ankara has accused Finland and Sweden of harboring members of Kurdish militias that it says pose a risk to Turkey. Mr. Erdogan also accused Greece, a long-standing NATO ally, of harboring terrorists and said that allowing Athens' readmission to the security bloc in the 1980s had been a mistake. Tensions have been growing between Turkey and Greece after Prime Minister Mitsotakis urged a joint session of the United States Congress not to drop a ban on Turkey's membership of a purchasing program for the next generation F-35 fighter jet last week. The Biden administration has reportedly been considering dropping the ban imposed after Ankara purchased an S-400 air defense system from Russia in 2019. Mr. Erdogan said this amounted to lobbying US officials against Turkey and violated an agreement not to involve third countries in disputes between Ankara and Athens. The Turkish President also announced a planned summit with Kyriakos Mitsotakis later this year had been cancelled, pledging to never agree to have a meeting with the Greek leader. Coming up next, the European Union says embargo on Russian oil may not be too far away, maybe even just a few days, according to its biggest member, Germany. Now, more than 140 migrants attempted to cross the Aegean Sea on board Turkish vessels setting off from the Turkish coast early this morning towards the islands of Mytilene, Chios and Samos. The incident is the second one in less than 24 hours, with more than 590 migrants who sailed off to the Greek islands, however, were stopped by the Greek Coast Guard and returned back to the Turkish coast, where they originally set off from. 5 sailing yachts with 450 migrants on board were stranded by the Greek Coast Guard off the islands of Chios and Samos on Monday, whereas another 150 attempted to cross the Aegean Sea but were stopped on their way to the island of Samos. The migrant flows from the Turkish coastline towards the Greek islands intensified following the provocative rhetoric of the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan against the Greek Prime Minister, stating that he no longer recognizes Mitsotakis. Finland and Sweden are expected to send delegations to Ankara on Wednesday to try to resolve Turkey's opposition to their applications for membership of the NATO military alliance, Finnish Foreign Minister Pekka Haavisto said on Tuesday. Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan held phone calls with the leaders of the 2 Nordic countries on Saturday and discussed his concerns on harboring so-called terrorists, people linked to the Kurdistan Workers' Party, militant group and followers of Fethullah Gulen, whom Ankara accuses of orchestrating a 2016 coup attempt. Erdogan told Swedish Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson on Saturday that Ankara expected concrete steps to address its concerns, according to the Turkish presidency. He also said an arms exports embargo imposed on Turkey after its Syria incursion in 2019 should be lifted, it added. Erdogan spoke also with NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg on Saturday, telling him that Ankara would not look positively on Sweden and Finland's NATO bids unless they clearly show cooperation in the fight against terrorism and other issues. More to come on our program. Greek Army Apache attack helicopter makes a forced landing due to an engine failure en route to the island of Kos. Greek Minister of Foreign Affairs Nikos Dendias met the United States Ambassador in Athens, George Tsounis, and exchanged a note verbal on the ratification of the bilateral United States-Greece Mutual Defense Cooperation Agreement. Dendias noted that the agreement was ratified by the two-thirds of the House of Commons majority. The discussion in the Greek Parliament was such that, regardless of its party's views, showed that the majority of MPs, exceeding 181, strongly believes in the relationship between the United States and Greece, Dendias said. The European Union will likely agree on an embargo on Russian oil imports within days, according to its biggest member, Germany. Meanwhile, Moscow said it saw its economic ties growing with China after being isolated by the West over its invasion of Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky told global business leaders in Davos on Monday that the world must increase sanctions against Russia to deter other countries from using brute force to achieve their aims. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky appealed for more weapons and maximum further sanctions against Russia on Monday, as he declared that tens of thousands of lives would have been saved had the international community acted faster. Many of the European Union's 27 member states are heavily reliant on Russian energy, prompting criticism from Kyiv that the bloc has not moved quickly enough to halt supplies. Hungary insists on its demands for energy investment before it agrees to such an embargo. European Union and Hungary relations are currently fragile, with European Union states pushing for swift approval. The EU has offered up to €2 billion to Central and Eastern nations lacking non-Russian supply. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said the Kremlin would focus on developing ties with China as economic links with the United States and Europe were cut. The comments came as United States President Joe Biden toured Asia, where he said he would be willing to use force to defend Taiwan against Chinese aggression, a comment that seems to push to the extremes the ambiguous United States policy towards the self-ruled island. Coming up next, monkeypox can be contained in countries outside of Africa where the virus is not usually detected, the World Health Organization says. An Apache attack helicopter of the Greek army made a forced landing earlier today due to an engine failure while en route to the island of Kos for a drill. The helicopter landed on a beach in Evia, however no damages were caused. Helicopter crew was safe and sound. Monkeypox can be contained in countries outside of Africa where the virus is not usually detected, the World Health Organization says. More than 100 cases of the virus, which causes a rash and a fever, have been confirmed in Europe, the Americas and Australia. That number is expected to rise still, but experts say the overall risk to the broader population is very low. This is a containable situation, the World Health Organization's emergency disease lead Maria van Kerkhove said at a news conference on Monday. We want to stop human-to-human transmission. We can do this in the non-endemic countries, she added, referring to the recent cases in Europe and North America. The virus has now been detected in 16 countries outside Africa. Despite being the largest outbreak outside of Africa in 50 years, monkeypox does not spread easily between people, and experts say the threat is not comparable to the coronavirus pandemic. That's all from us for now. Stay with us. Next news bulletin in Greek at 6 o'clock. Thank you for watching.